So it's usually not, but in the Butcher's Circus, going back to what Jonas said, it is because her abilities are different. Specifically, her heal is now everyone in the party gets a regeneration like heal over time. So every single turn you get brought back off death's door.
That okay.
Yeah, it's extremely powerful.
And now you see both Jonas and myself adding an antiquarian to our parties.
What is your guys' favorite class in the game? Regardless of this, like just in general, is it like because there was a shield breaker that was added? The leper's pretty popular. I'll say that the Hellion is like absolutely my favorite.
I liked the Hellion when she first came. Well, like when the game first came out, because the penalties for her using her move wasn't quite as tough. But I ended up actually going for the Houndmaster when I started playing again. Just like stacking a bunch of Houndmasters was actually really fun.
Yeah, Houndmasters have the ability to do a lot of stuff in any line, right? Having them in the second line or the third line gives you so many different viability choices. In particular for me, it's actually the Shield Breaker. The Shield Breaker was added, and if you stack like melee damage and crit on the Shield Breaker, she can reach pretty much any line, and she goes through protection. So she just destroys enemies, especially because I was doing the Crimson Court at the same time, and a lot of those enemies have like 45, 60% protection on the Stygian mode.
Good point. I'm liking the battle so far. It's the DOT fight right now. That's one thing I will say. I don't want to give Wander too many tips here, but I played a few matches and I did find that like DOT is not key, but it's very powerful, and so is stress damage, oddly enough. Like those are the two things, like straight up like damage I found like worked not as well as I would expect, because you can get somebody on Darkest or on Death's Door and they don't necessarily die. You could like spend 2 full turns trying to take out one unit for no reason, when you can just, put Blight and Bleed on someone and that'll take care of it for you. So
it won't kill them though.
Oh, did they? It definitely did before.
It specifically in the Butcher's Circus DLC, the DOT can get them to Death's Door, but it will not trigger a Death's Door blow.
Yo, this might explain why I lose so much in this game.
Yeah, that's what killed me in the first episode versus Rito. Like the name of my first episode for it is The Trouble with DOTs. Like they're really good because they can keep the enemy on Death's Door, so like the enemy gets healed up and then they go back to Death's Door, but yeah.
Interesting. Look, I've already learned.
Give you that little tip for free. Looks like both of the characters have brought along people that get to do a party-wide buff that just is for the entire duration of the battle. The Man-at-Arms giving a bolster for +10 dodge to all of its teammates for the entire battle's duration, as well as the Jester, I believe, doing the Battle Ballad for +10 accuracy to all teammates. So basically, they cancelled each other out.
Very interesting.
I did have a little bit of a panic moment when I saw this screen, and I was like, wait, I'm running a leper? But no, this is all That's fine.
So that's pretty much your team lineup, but a leper instead of a shield maiden?
It's very close to my team lineup. It's just a little shuffled, and I also have a shield breaker in there.
Ooh, that is a painful miss. Because I think Rito was trying to do the thing that would heal him back up a considerable amount. I really like the Flagellant for that move, at least in the base game. I don't know how different it is.
Both Exsanguinate and Redeem are basically the same.
Okay, cool.
In the base game in here, yeah.
I think the Flagellant's pretty powerful in general. It works well here because, the Death's Door buffs that he gets seem to work. I think it was balanced a little bit within here. I haven't looked through like what characters have been balanced and so forth, but I think he was one of the ones that was decently balanced.
Yeah.
And they've done a good job.
Very decently balanced. There is also like a little bit of the roll the die element, because especially if you want to toy around being on Death's Door constantly, you can become a little dicey.
Yeah, I'm seeing the dice right now.
What's he gonna do?
Oh, there's your first Death's Blow. So if anyone's not familiar with the mechanics specifically of Death's Blow in the Butcher's Circus, a hero has an 85% Death Blow resistance, and each time you hit them and they don't die, if they stay on Death's Door, they will decrease their Death Blow resistance by 10% per hit. Yeah. Unfortunately, it can result in some occasions where, like, oh, I don't know, I have to hit Rito's Vestal 10 times to kill her, and he kills my Jester instantly.
Yeah. That's where some of the RNG comes in.
I mean, there was a little bit of RNG in the bracket. I think both of you can speak to that because according to the 5-player elimination bracket that I'm looking at, basically all of the rest of us get a free round. You two drew short straws and have to fight each other to come to the like finals.
I'm totally fine with that. I mostly agreed to this purely because I didn't have anything better to do, and I like the idea of just sitting here shoutcasting instead of actually doing the tourney. So I hold no illusions that I'm probably going to get wiped out in the first round, and then Jonas can just sail on to the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We'll see about that. I don't think the bracket was as random as Rito made it out to be, by the way. I'm just going to put that out there. I think he intentionally put himself in a bracket that made it so that he didn't have to fight an extra fight.
He admitted that he wanted to fight Orbital no matter what. I'm not sure why they didn't have their like initial match, but I guess it makes sense. Put the 3 people that but Orbital doesn't play this normally. I give up.
Orbital actually is pretty interested in Darkest Dungeon. It's like not necessarily hugely in his wheelhouse, but yeah, it's or not necessarily the wheelhouse for the content he creates on the channel too.
I just thought he said he specifically had never played up until now.
Not the Butcher's Circus, but Darkest Dungeon in general.
Got it. Is it just me or is Rito getting rolled?
I was just going to comment saying that Orbital's doing really well right now. I think it's the Vestal. I think that's the biggest difference between here is like Orbital's got the Vestal that like does a lot of stuff. Very good, very like powerful class. Lucky stun.
The additional element of Hound's Harry of that Houndmaster gives not only the hit and the bleed, but also stack stress in AoE, which is really, really being capitalized upon here by all.
That's why I was surprised and disappointed that I couldn't stack a bunch of Houndmasters. I understand why, but I was like, but my strategy. Because this is what I do when I'm like playing the base game.
Do you run like 3 with a frontliner?
I usually actually run 3 with a backliner. It mostly works, except for on like the highest difficulties, at which point the bleed resistance gets too high. But at that point, I'm usually tired of Darkest Dungeon, so I kind of just check out at that point and stop playing.
Fair enough.
This game is just too long for me. I think my first series on it, when it first did early access, was like, I want to say 50, 100 episodes long or something like that, and that just burnt me out permanently on playing more of this. Maybe I'll come back for like Darkest Dungeon 2, but...
I'm looking forward to the second one. I kind of agree. So this one came out in what, 2016, I think, in early access, and I wasn't like streaming or doing content really at that point. And I remember picking this up when it came out and just getting like handed to me while I was playing. And I put it down. Like this was one of the few games that I like rage quit. I remember because like I stacked up and I was like, oh look, there's the Darkest Dungeon. I got level 3 or 4, I think, at the time, and I'm gonna go try it. I didn't realize it was like a scripted set of missions at that point, and I lost every trinket. I lost my whole A team, and I just went, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking forward to the last spell. If you guys got the chance to play that one,
I have the demo installed, but I haven't had a chance yet.
That's
big.
Shit.
Yep.
Pretty sure that was his first death blow as well.
Yeah. The last spell is kind of Darkest Dungeon-y in terms of like, here's your small team and overwhelming odds. But it's crossed with some They Are Billions as well. But each round only lasts about 4 hours and then you start over. And that feels really good to me, as opposed to the like slowly building your guys up and then they all just die. And you're like, oh.
Oh, so it's like a strategic base building RTS?
Turn-based strategy game.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like
with,
a tactics
with
game.
roguelite elements. It's way too many genres all at once, but they did it so well.
It reminds me of like XCOM meets Habbo Hotel.
Ooh.
You're just doing that because you don't like the art style.
Yeah, I'm not like I really like pixel art, but it's got to be done in a certain way. Those, I don't know. I'm gonna give it a shot. Don't get me wrong, but the art style for me, the pixels on that just seem like they seem a little out of place. Because I literally loaded. I was like, "It's Habbo Hotel. What's going on right now?"
Ooh. This is coming a little bit further to the wire than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, especially considering I think that that Jester is being lined up to use the finale.
Finale, yeah.
But if the Jester dies first, the Battle of the Tide swings the other way.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that if that Flagellant dies, it will heal all of its allies.
This is the turn right here. This is the turning point.
Yep.
Technical resistance of 75. Ooh, doesn't even go for it.
Interesting.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
But Orbital doesn't do the finale. Takes him off Death's Door first. So guaranteed finale coming.
Now, the important thing about Finale in this is that it bypasses Death's Door triggers and can target lines 1 and 2. Sorry, it can target from lines 1 or 2. So right now, that Flagellant is dead if Orbital wants to do it.
I did not know it did that.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know it did it until Rito did it to me.
Oh.
That could be big.
Now, can you choose whatever character acts?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So speed
Okay.
rolls aren't really a thing here. It
That's
basically just chooses a player that plays first. You choose one of your party to act first, and then it goes to the other player and they choose one of theirs. It can end up in a little bit of a weird situation where, like, if you have one player and the enemy has 2, like, you'll act and then they'll act 2 times immediately without interruption, which can be a little rude.
As well as on the first turn, they do a coin flip, and you get a decent buff if you are not acting on the first turn. So it kind of counters, always trying to go for
There
the
he
first
goes.
turn.
It's also worth noting that after the Jester does that, he gets a huge debuff that obviously also exists in the base game, but here it adds plus 100% stress taken, so it's very easy to get that Jester to stress out now.
I still think it's Rito. Here it is, right here. 3 blights
It's huge.
and a
That's 2
lot
more
of stress.
stresses.
Yep. Oh,
Masochistic. It's also worth noting that the base virtue chance in the Butcher's Circus DLC specifically is 1%. So unless you have trinkets or abilities that are modifying that, you're probably not going to hit it.
what's the percentage of virtuous in this one? Is it 5% or 10? 1%.
Yeah,
Yeesh.
Ooh, because in the base game it's like 5, isn't it?
something like that.
Yeah.
It's one of those hidden checks. Like I don't think that should be a hidden check, especially because there are trinkets that can modify it. But yeah, that's just me. And hopefully the devs, for the sake of Darkest Dungeon 2. Refuse the heal.
Yeah, he refused the heal. I saw that. I'm like, oh, that's gotta hurt. So,
And if you're not familiar, if the stress goes to 200, the character immediately dies from a heart attack. I know you guys probably know that. Just in case anybody's
No,
watching.
they go down to 0 HP.
Oh,
yeah.
If they're on 0 HP and they hit 200 stress, then they have a heart attack.
gotcha.
I
Yeah,
This might
one's
actually-
feeling like Orbital.
yeah. That Vestal made a huge difference.
Yes. Oh, it definitely did. Just being able to stack the upfront healing rather than having to rely on a heal over time. But also the Antiquarian is like very key to the amount of damage that Rito's doing here as well. So he's got the healer trying to both heal and deal damage.
Yeah.
unfortunately making them half as effective as each. That leper is down to 45% death blow resistance as well.
You're following way more of this information than I am. Oh, I see.
That's
it.
okay.
There we go.
It's only because I played this for a couple episodes with
Yeah,
you beforehand.
you've been doing a series on this.
Mm-hmm.
I did a few on it. Like I tried to do some of the online matches. The community seems relatively okay, but when I did it, the desync was still pretty big. So apparently they've solved a lot of it. We're not noticing any issues.
Retro is still going for the heart attack.
I mean, it's all he can really do at this point.
Fair.
You might be able to even chain heart attacks by having one of them stress out enough to die, to then stress out the rest of them to start increasing and increasing. I could actually see, like, if he death blow resists with that man-at-arms, like, for maybe 2 more turns, which is very optimistic, but if he can, then I could see him getting actually the stress off with these bellows.
I agree. It's definitely possible. Although, the man-at-arms is in an okay spot, but the antiquarian can't do a ton from the second spot. Although, if I remember, actually they're pretty good anywhere. Just depending on what you have.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just he doesn't have access to the heal in the second line. Yeah, you can see him hovering over it at the moment. Oh, that's the leper dead.
That's 2.
Jester goes down to their store. Might have a heart attack when the leopard dies, actually. Oh, no, it won't. Never mind.
This would be quite the comeback.
Yeah?
Ooh. Goes for the stress heal rather than the damage.
I would have gone damage, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh, you have to.
That would have been a huge virtuous, though.
I wonder if we'll see any today, because like a lot of us, I imagine, are going to be running some stress. I wonder if we're going to see any actual virtuous triggers on the 1% chance.
I thought I saw a virtuous trigger on the Crusader at the very beginning, but I could be wrong.
I don't see any.
Don't think so. But if that is the case, then the Crusader does have abilities that they can target themselves with that increase their virtue chance. He's right? Okay, yeah, no, apparently that did happen.
Wow. Missed it.
Yeah, I tuned out for a little bit, came back, I'm like, oh, that's where I said, like, it looks like Rito's doing real well. And then I was very wrong. Is that Chester just, like, virtually... Oh, wait, no, he's stunned anyway.
It's not stunned. It's a new status called Dazed, where they have to act last in the turn order.
I gotcha.
Oh, those bellows are working out.
They are. It needs a big double death blow.
Damn.
Wow.
Well, we should probably unmute each of them and have a post-game
God.
conversation.
The memes. The absolute memes.
What's up, boys?
All right, let's go unmute everybody.
Oh my god.
Oh, God.
Easiest game of my life.
Was it? Because it looked pretty stressful near the end there.
The miss on the flagellant's heel right away.
Yeah,
my
I saw
God.
that. It was just like,
That
oh, that
killed
hurts.
Everything. Orbital wins. Ladies and
GG.
gentlemen. G.
So we took bets before the match, just to let you know. I was the only one that chose Orbital. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah?
This is slander, libel.
I didn't even choose Orbital, to be honest.
Jonas, I
did
even
not
wrote
choose
this
Orbital.
down to keep my thoughts in order to make sure.
Why
It
don't
was-
you tell us who voted who?
So Jonas and I voted for Rito, and Raps was the only winner on the bet with Orbital.
I believe in
Jonas
you,
is a big fat liar.
All right.
That was
So-
fun. That was a good match, boys.